What's up, everyone, and thanks so much for tuning in to the final installment of my top albums of 2014. This is going to be part 2 of my top 30 list, numbers 15 through number 1. There's a lot of great music on this list, and I cannot wait to share this with you momentarily. If you have not checked out the first part of this two-part series, do check the link in the description box and let me know what you think of the first half, numbers 30 through 16. But without further ado, I know you guys are probably eagerly awaiting what's on this list, so let's waste no more time, let's get into it. Numbers 15 through number 1 of 2014. And kicking off the list at number 15, we have Animus with Horizons. Now, this is a progressive metal outfit from Denmark who has already had a few albums under their sleeves, but this is a new one which brings a little bit more of a modern progressive rock, progressive metal feel, but with the traditional stylings of progressive metal. This is more something that relies on the elements of keyboards, guitars, bass, and vocals to bring a nice concept, but also putting it forth in a way where it's a little bit more accessible, a little bit more melodic, and although progressive, a little bit less technical. If you're looking for something that has very melodic vocals in the vein of Yes, there's a lot of Yes character in the vocals on this, definitely check out Animus Horizons. Some great songwriting and very great flow on this entire disc. Very great one from this year. Animus with Horizons at number 15. And moving on to number 14, we have another progressive metal release, this time from Melbourne, Australia. We have Teramaze with Esoteric Symbolism. What a terrific find from this year, and I was just a little bit disappointed I didn't hear this band earlier with their last album, but better late than never. I gotta say, I haven't heard melodic, traditional, progressive metal with really no frills, just all putting the best ideas into a song that they can, heavily focusing on melodic ideas, guitar-based grooves, and just some very kick-ass ideas lyrically and really cool production. I gotta say, this has got terrific flow. The vocals are extremely unique. The guy's just a very dynamic vocalist with a lot of different timbre changes and really just adds a lot of character to these songs. This is one that I can't recommend enough to those who like the modern era of progressive metal, but want something a little bit more, I guess, esoteric and a little bit more philosophical lyrically. Definitely check out Esoteric Symbolism from Teramaze. You will not be disappointed. Coming in at number 13, we have an album by a band who has seen quite a few lineup changes over the last few years, and one that has garnered a lot of attention this year, but one I know that is very, very high on a lot of people's top end lists. This is the Contortionists with Language. With this album, they have gone as far away from their original metalcore, deathcore origins, but still have a way of providing these heavy backbone parts with more lush and articulate, clean atmospheres. Instrumentally, they have garnered a lot of ideas from the past of Cynic, and I feel that they have actually out-cynicked Cynic this year with this release. I feel that they have finally reached a perfect balance of melodic and heavy dynamism on this, and crafted it in a way where the songs are progressive, they flow, they're moving, and emotionally gripping. And I feel that the Contortionist has finally hit the nail on the head in terms of their songwriting on this, and I cannot wait to see where they can go from here, because this one was excellent. Very, very good. So coming in at number 13, we have the Contortionist with Language. And at number 12, we have a brand new studio release from one of my all-time favorite live bands. And I am talking about Humphreys McGee with Similar Skin. Now, I know a lot of people primarily know Humphreys McGee as a live, almost jam band, and they are a band that spend a lot of time touring rather than in the studio. But when it comes to their studio recordings, this is a band that absolutely does not disappoint. This is a band that is capable of so many musical styles and is able to pull it off with such finesse and such ease and such brilliant songwriting that you never really know what you can expect when it comes to an Humphreys McGee album. You got anywhere from traditional progressive metal to more funk-based music to country and bluegrass to blues to even dance music. And they all bring it together in a way that just does not sound forced, in a way where they can pull every bit off, even through such difficult transitions from song to song, or even within the same song. But with this, once again, we have just fantastic songwriting, fantastic diversity, and this album even goes into some more heavier, even, dare I say, metal moments. I've actually never heard them this heavy on some certain songs that come towards the end of this album. If you're a fan of Humphreys McGee and you have not heard this album yet, do check this out, because this is an excellent addition to their catalog, and I'm sure are excellent additions to their ever-changing live sets. And if you've never seen Humphreys McGee live, definitely make sure to check them out the next time they come through your area, because they're just absolutely incredible. So Humphreys McGee with Similar Skin at number 12. Moving on to number 11, we have something on the list that might actually conjure up some controversy, because this is actually a live album. But the reason as to why this is on here is because it's a live album of a band that can only have existed in this setting. And if those who have been paying attention this year, you might actually be able to guess what this one is. This is Cloudkicker live with Intronaut. Never before did we ever think that there was going to be a live Cloudkicker band. And after being pushed and pushed and pushed by fans of the band Intronaut, they conjured up this idea of, let's be your backing band and let's do a small series of shows. It's something that you would never think that would be translatable into a live setting, but boy, was Intronaut the perfect backing band for this, and there are moments on here where they just sound absolutely identical to the studio recordings, but actually have a little bit more real human life to them. Could not believe it. If you have not heard this yet, if you are a fan of Cloudkicker, definitely check this out. If you have not heard Cloudkicker yet, listen to that music before you listen to this, because you'll be blown away by this. Coming in at number 11, Cloudkicker live with Intronaut. And making our way into the top 10, at number 10 we have Chrislechford with Lightbox. Now, Chrislechford, of course, being the primary lead guitarist and songwriter of Scale the Summit, progressive instrumental band from Texas. Here we have him with his first solo album in more of a jazz and fusion setting. Teaming up with the Reign of Kindo, Evan Brewer, and Mark Michelle, we have Chris in a way where he is writing in a more unorthodox jazz fusion style, in a way that is totally unparalleled with most of Scale the Summit's music, although some of his most important and influential techniques are included in this album as well. Just brilliant, imaginative, and very unique songwriting on here. Chris is a guitar player and a songwriter that with each and every release, with each and every song, just continues to grow and grow and grow as a musician. And this is definitely an album where we see him growing quite a bit as a musician, and I cannot wait to see if he can do another solo record and to see how this album reflects on the new Scale the Summit album that will be on our way soon. So definitely love this album. Coming in at number 10, we have Chrislechford with Lightbox. Coming in at number 9, we have one of the biggest and most significant metal albums of the year. At number 9, Behemoth with The Satanists. Never before have I been able to get into Behemoth with an album of this variety. And on this album, Behemoth took their already blackened death metal sound, but adding a little bit more atmosphere, bringing in a little bit more of their black metal past, but mixing it with their ferocious and rhythmically blaring death metal skills. And on this, we have some very unhidden and not even trying to be subtle satanic imagery and lyricism, but it comes together in a way that the atmosphere you can cut with a knife. The emotional performance from Nurgle on these vocals are just completely unparalleled with anything that they've done in the past. It is ferocious, it is mean, it is scary, and I have never heard a death metal album sound so blackened and evil with so much atmosphere before. It's got groove, and just ferocious attacks on every level. One that, if you haven't heard this yet and you're a death metal fan, check this out. I know a lot of people already love it, but you know, I'm definitely right there with you. So, coming in at number 9, we have Behemoth with The Satanists. And at number 8, we have another one of the biggest metal releases of this year. This one of a more black metal variety. We have Agolog with The Serpent and The Sphere. Now, with Agolog, you never really know what to expect from album to album because they always have a way of reinventing the idea of atmospheric black metal. But with this album, they have completely done everything that I thought their last album, Marrow of the Spirit, was lacking. This album has terrific flow, a body of consistent ideas, fantastic acoustic interludes brought by Nathaniel of Musk Ox, which was a very nice surprise and a perfect collaboration for this album, putting their acoustic interludes into more of a upper stratosphere when it comes to musicality, and added a lot more progression to Agolog's already progressive sound. But with this one, they hit everything on the head, but I feel that it's still not as big in my book as The Mantle or Ashes Against the Grain. I feel that this is easily suited in one of their best albums to date, and a package that is a brilliant piece of music from start to finish. Absolutely love this record. Coming in at number 8, Agolog with The Serpent and The Sphere. Now with Agolog at number 8, we have actually a perfect segue into number 7, because we actually have Nathaniel of Musk Ox coming back with his own band, Musk Ox. This was the album called Woodfall. Never before did I actually think that I would be holding a physical Musk Ox album, because they are very difficult to find. However, if you are unaware of Musk Ox, they are a Canadian neo-folk / chamber music trio, with Nathaniel playing this unbelievable flamenco folk style classical guitar. And I gotta say, with this album, they brought an even more immaculate sense of beauty and power to their already elegant sound, with a little bit more of a brighter and more up-close placement of the strings and cellos on here. We still have Nathaniel playing unbelievable and unparalleled soaring guitar lines, strictly in a finger-picked fashion. There's really no other soloing or any other accompanied guitars but a single acoustic guitar part that always comes out with a new idea. Nathaniel is just a brilliant player and a brilliant songwriter, and knows how, even through repetition, to bring out emotional passages on the acoustic guitar. This is something you want to drift off to and really let your thoughts get carried with the music and just get wrapped up in it. I cannot recommend this enough. I know this is a very unknown name, especially in the rock and metal world, so check out Musk Ox with their new album, Woodfall. Number 7. Moving on to number 6, we have the only neo-progressive album on this entire list, and what better than one of the pioneers of the genre itself, IQ, with their latest, The Road of Bones. And with this, they have taken their already neo-progressive songwriting, but adding more darkness and more atmosphere. The atmosphere is the biggest key of what makes this album so special in comparison to their previous work. But the songs on this album are built in a way where they all seem to grow progressively as the song goes on. This is music that begins with very simple bass lines that grow into more distorted guitar parts, which builds its intensity with drums and just becomes a cacophony towards the end, but all coming together in a very emotional way. And being one of the most important bands of the neo-prog genre, I feel that they have really brought new life to the genre with this album. And I know this was very high on the Prog Archive's Album of the Year list, and for a very good reason. Without Walls, the album epic, the 17+ minute epic, is one of my favorite songs of the year and one of the best songs that I think they've ever done. If you like classic prog like Genesis, but like something a little bit more metalized, a little bit more dark, check out IQ, The Road of Bones. At number 6, IQ with The Road of Bones. Absolutely fantastic. And while we are on the topic of progressive epics, at number 5 we have a band who is known for nothing else but progressive rock epics. And of course we're talking about the progressive rock supergroup Transatlantic with Kaleidoscope. Now, it seems that we always really know what to expect from a Transatlantic release, but we always know that we're absolutely going to be blown away by it each and every time. And once again, this theory is absolutely correct. We have, of course, the epics, Into the Blue and Kaleidoscope, but even the shorter tracks are still progressive in nature. And with some little bit more uplifting ideas on this rather than the last album, The Whirlwind, I still feel that Transatlantic is a supergroup of epic proportions that is never going to quit and is never going to be substandard or subpar in any means in terms of the songwriting, because they just throw everything in the kitchen sink into these songs and somehow they make it work, and it is just incredible. I can't say enough great things about it. I'm not quite sure if I love this as much as The Whirlwind, but this is pretty damn close to being one of my top favorite Transatlantic albums. So coming in at number 5, Kaleidoscope by Transatlantic. Coming in at number 4, we have a progressive metal album that has caused quite a bit of controversy this year, and a band that has caused quite a bit of controversy with even their last album. This should be obvious before I show this cover even, but we got Opeth with Pale Communion coming in at number 4. I personally loved Heritage and absolutely loved the idea of them going into a more retro 70s progressive rock direction, in a way where it's come together on this in a darker way but a more furious way. I feel that this is everything that Heritage was lacking for me. It's a little bit more darker, a little bit more evil, but still has that trademark Opeth style. Sure, it's not death metal, sure it's not Blackwater Park or Ghost Reveries, but you know what? Opeth is still here and still firing on all cylinders. The guitar solos are incredibly inspired. The vocals are some of the best clean vocals I've ever heard from Michael to date. Axe's drumming has just reached a new level of technicality and looseness and just absolutely insanity. And of course we got the new keyboard player, Joachim Svalberg, who really adds some nice keyboard parts to this album. As I said, I was a huge fan of this, and it definitely reached its way into the top 4 very easily, although I feel that the top 3 are definitely a little bit stronger than this. So let's get into that. But number 4, we got Opeth with Pale Communion. I think absolutely a fantastic record. Coming in at number 3, we have, in my opinion, the best and undoubtedly the most insane instrumental album to come out the entire year. Animals as Leaders with The Joy of Motion. Tosin Abasi coming back again with this instrumental project and proving that he is undoubtedly this generation's guitar god. Just constantly innovating on the 8-string guitar, and innovating in a way that not only parallels with his techniques, but also how he uses these techniques in the songs. You can never really know what to expect from Animals as Leaders, so you can never really expect where these songs are going to go, but this is heavy, this is grooving, this is just rhythmically full of illusions, and the soloing is just always inspired and just continues to show that the guitar instrumentally is not dead, and you can still write a unique song that will grip your attention and will continue to innovate and make its mark in music history. I feel that this absolutely blows away the last album, Weightless, and even took its way into beating out the debut full length for me. And that's saying a lot, because that full length really hit on a high level with me when that first came out, as I know it did with a lot of people. I cannot wait to see what new tricks they have up their sleeve on the next album, and cannot wait to see where this band goes in the future. Coming in at number 3, Joy of Motion by Animals as Leaders. Absolutely incredible. And coming in at the number 2 spot, we have an album that was one of my most anticipated releases from this year, and it did not disappoint. In my review of it, I gave this a very positive review, and one that still stuck with me, and one that climbed to the top of this list very easily. We have Flying Colors with Second Nature. On this album, we have the new progressive rock supergroup moving in a direction where they are not wearing their influences so high on their sleeve as they did with their first debut. On this record, we have this band working together in a way where it sounds more organic, more natural, more mature, but still having a progressive rock finesse, knowing when to hold back and knowing when to really let loose. The diversity on this album is completely unparalleled by anything that I've heard this entire year, and one that I think really has found its place in the progressive rock world. And I cannot wait to see where this band goes in the future, because I feel that with Second Nature, the band has finally found themselves, and I can only imagine bigger and better things to come. And this is even more than promising on that notion. Coming in at number 2, Flying Colors with Second Nature. And coming in at the top spot, number 1 of 2014, was one that I knew that it could only have been this way from the second that I heard the album. And boy oh boy was I just so incredibly blown away by this album, and the fact that I was able to participate in this album's recording process this year in the Universal Choir only made this more worthwhile to hear and more satisfying when I finally heard the overall product and got to see it live. Of course, I am talking about Devin Townsend with Z2 Dark Matters, the sequel to the almighty Ziltor the Omniscient, coming back with a more earth-driven participation with an incredibly wacky storyline, just absolutely insane musical instrumentation, brilliant musical guests, brilliant acting, and just proves that you can still have comedy and just comic stupidity in music and still having it be just this most genuine upbringing of music. And I gotta say that Devin Townsend really knows how to keep a young, youthful energy, but still knowing how to deliver something truly genuine and authentic. Everything about listening to this album was an unparalleled experience in terms of the amount of entertainment that I got from this. And the idea of the Universal Choir I thought was absolutely brilliant, and I'm so happy that I was able to be picked in, being able to participate in that process. But when it came to the album and listening to it, I realized this commentary can be a little bit too much at times. It was almost like he knew that people would be saying the same thing. So on the 3-disc deluxe set, there's also an included raw bonus disc of the entire Dark Matters disc without the commentary, where you can hear more of the music but still having all the accompanied vocals. Just absolutely incredible. This is Devin firing on all cylinders and making one of the best albums of his career. And just it being disc 2 of a 2-part album, and it being the second release of him this year, is just saying that this guy is just an absolute musical genius and absolute mad professor. And there are people who would kill to make an album like this once in their life, let alone it being the third album him putting out in 1 year. I cannot say enough great things about this album. Devin, thank you for this. Thank you for signing this when I met you. Unbelievable experience. More Ziltoid in the future makes me a very, very happy listener, and I cannot wait to see what this man has up his sleeve in the future. And coming in at number 1, Ziltoid Part 2, Dark Matters, Album of the Year 2014. That's it. Thank you so much for watching. I do hope you enjoyed this list. What did you think of my number 1 pick, and do you agree with this list at all? Please leave your lists and your critiques in the comment section below. Have a happy and safe 2015. Happy New Year, everybody. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Take care, everyone.